Rise and grind, folks. Guys, I am on the way to a brand new customer. This customer called yesterday and said that his tenant said that the hot water is not as hot as it should be. So according to the landlord, he doesn't know if the temperature has to be adjusted or if something's going on with the hot water heater. Let's go take a look. I'll see y'all when I get there. Alright guys, I'm trying to find a water heater. The tenant said that after two people take a shower, the water gets cold. And there's spider webs everywhere. Guys, let me clear some space out the way. I'll be right with you. Alright guys, this is a 50-gallon electric water heater. And according to the tenant, after every 2 showers, there's about like 5 people here. And they said after every 2 showers, the water gets cold. Right now, I have my first floor bathroom and first floor kitchen sink on. Everything's hot. And I spoke with the landlord, and he thinks that there's too many people in this house, which isn't a bad, assumption. But guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the upper and the lower element. I wanna see what the set point is. I don't wanna raise the set point too high, but I gotta take a look at what this thing is set for. Looked at all the plumbing, going up to the second floor, nothing's crossed, everything is where it needs to be. But guys, let me open this up real quick. I'll be back. All right, guys. As you see, it looks like our upper thermostat is set to 120. Now, past 140 will be scalding. There is no point in setting the water temp that high. At that point, I can't even give you a scenario and why in a residential setting, a customer will want the temperature of the water that hot. But guys, one thing I'm gonna do is I gotta make sure that my lower element is functioning. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn down the temperature. Right now I had this water heater running for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna lower my thermostat on my upper element and see if I can activate my lower element. Let me see something real quick here. And this looks like a newer tank. Water heater doesn't look that old. Waiting for the temp to get up there. But guys, tell you what I'm gonna do. I may have to turn that shower on upstairs. I believe they got 2 showers here, which is, once again, I know this is borderline at capacity. One thing I could try is, I could try raising the temp up to like 130. But right now I have my upper element off. I got my thermostat turned down. So based on the internal water temp, this water heater should be turning on for my lower element. But guys, tell you what, let me turn the shower on upstairs. I'll be back. Guys, here's my synopsis. Here's what I did. I went to the shower upstairs and everything's ice cold. Once again, it was hot when I got here. As soon as I turned the faucets on, after like 10 minutes, everything's cold. I looked at the plumbing pipes, nothing's crossed. Most importantly, all the fixtures, everything's good upstairs. I checked my lower element and my upper element. As you see here, I even increased my thermostat temp to 150 for testing purposes. And right now I have it off to check my lower element, and my lower element is drawing current. Now what you guys see here, 18 to 19 amps is nominal. If my element was shorted, meaning if I had an open short, I wouldn't get any current at all. And then the other scenario, if one of my currents is drawing excessive power, that would eventually trip a breaker. Neither one of those two scenarios are happening. Guys, putting two and two together, there's only 2 bathrooms here, 1 shower. This isn't like a mega house. 50 gallons is more than enough to supply constant hot water here. But if both of my elements are on and my supply run is cold, I think the dip tube may be broke inside this water heater. But what's weird is that it was hot when I got here, maybe due to the fact that nothing was running. So guys, if you didn't know, if the dip tube, which connects the cold line all the way down to the bottom of the water heater, the dip tube is responsible for ensuring that cold water into this water heater from the bottom. If the dip tube snaps, now you're gonna have cold water mixed with hot water, and regardless of the output of your heating elements, your supply line is always gonna be cold. Supply line meaning this is the line coming from the water heater going to your plumbing fixtures in your house. But if that dip tube is cracked, there's no chance, even with me turning both of these elements up to 150, which is the max, there's no chance that they're gonna have hot water past a couple minutes. But yeah, guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call in a new water heater, and I'm gonna see what this landlord wants to do. And according to them, I mean, he knows that this is a newer tank, but this isn't like a warranty tank. I think the landlord just bought this property or took this property over like less than a year ago. So, but guys, tell you what I'm gonna do. Let me put all this back together. And I'm gonna turn my thermostats back to normal, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, there was some internal strife in between the tenant and the landlord. I had to use a little bit of Google Translate, but make a long story short, guys, the landlord already knew that, like I said, it was a lot more people living here than what it should be. So like, guys, like what's weird is that as soon as I turned all the faucets off, within 10 minutes, everything got hot again. I mean, I told the landlord, like I said, my only recommendation would be to replace the water heater, but you know, this isn't like a normal occurrence on a tank, like I said, that new. I mean, it's not under warranty, but it looks like under 10 years old. But the landlord definitely knew that, like I said, there's a lot more people here than, like I said, who was on the lease. But gosh, I mean, at this point, you know, it is what it is. You see something new every day, but I gave the landlord the price of replacing the electric water heater. And the landlord brought up the possibility of converting that electric to gas. At this point, guys, it is what it is. I think, you know, even with a gas water heater, it's still gonna be 50 gallons. So like a gas water heater is not really gonna give you a higher output than an electric water heater. And one thing to remember, 140 is the maximum set point. Typically, I'm talking with hot water for, you know, domestic hot water purposes. Typically, we recommend setting the water temp to like 125, 120, 125-ish. Remember, if you guys crank it past 140, that's considered scalding. If you have an elderly customer or, like I said, kids, that could accidentally burn them. So like, I was educating the customer. I don't really think converting to gas is gonna really be a difference. As long as the capacity is big enough, that water heater, 50 gallons, you know, for a 2-story house, you know, 1.5 bath, you know, only having a half sink, not even 2 showers, guys. That's definitely enough capacity. I just think that, like I said, something's going on with that dip tube. But, you know, the fact that it's a bunch of people in the house, like I said, that shower probably constantly runs. So I'm not really surprised about the aggressive wear and tear on that water heater. So, but guys, I got to get to the next one. Keep rocking and rolling. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.